Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to twitch.tv/ice cream uploads. My name, as you guys will know, is Graham Day, and I'm joined by the man in the majestic black Twitch hat that we call Rate.
Hello, good morning.
Do you know what? I'm going to jump straight in to the scoop split screen because I keep forgetting to do it, and I've head up with me on screen full time. So let's go straight in there. Yes, discussing now is not on screen, but I have a feeling that everyone will know exactly what we're going to kick off with today's show because we've just mentioned it on Twitter and a lot of our viewership is already talking about it. But welcome in to everyone. As mentioned, we are live on twitch.tv/ice cream uploads. My name is Graham. This is Baby, and we together are ice cream uploads. In true ice creamy fashion, we bring you your scoop, your daily dose of news from the world of video games and beyond. And some may say the UK's #1 video game podcast. We are those, but still. And today we have not an exclusive by any stretch of the imagination, but only an exclusive from the stretch of the imagination that we are probably the first people to pick up on this story. But before we get into that, if you're in the chat, please feel free to say hello and make sure you do say hello. Use your opportunity to get involved in the chat right here, right now on twitch.tv/ice cream uploads. And it's important that you do because we turn this live Twitch stream into a podcast video that goes out on YouTube and an audio podcast that goes on iTunes, Spotify, SoundCloud, and Google Play. So feel free to get involved in the chat. Use your voice on behalf of those that are watching later on demand. And if you're watching or listening on demand, hey, how you doing? Speaking of using your voice in the chat, good morning. Morning, lads. Does the new PES engine allow Paul Machin to clear the ball properly and not fit that defender? Oh.
No, that's 100% user error, that.
For those of you that are aware, that comment was by Rossi C89 in the chat, one of Redmond TV. And he took part as, I'd say, one of the most monumental goal scorers that's ever taken place on Ice Cream Uploads Live. It was on the Ice Cream Uploads Invitational 3 triple threat. And when I say one of the most amazing goals, it wasn't for the right reasons. Baby tweeted it the other day, so go check through Baby's timeline. We've got the video, you'll see it there. Check it out. But anyway, good morning. How's things? How's tricks? Lake says, can I call you PES influencers now? One day after the Great PES chat, Konami released the info we was waiting for. I mean, I'm not saying that. Not saying. No, I'm actually not saying that. But
it is the UK's #1 video game podcast, isn't it? So they're obviously in it. They're looking about and they're like, yeah, them guys have got it. So we're just going to release a statement. Now that's clearly what happened.
I mean, if you want to just line up at the back, form an orderly queue, we'll pull up a table and chair and we'll sign some autographs at the end of the show. So just make sure you've got yourself a pen and a paper, or your nan, whatever you want to sign, and it's fine. We do all that stuff for a fee. Anyway, welcome in, everyone. Do you know what? I would throw the conversation open to a bit. What did you get up to? How's things? How's your night been? But I think we can spare all of that sort of stuff and just jump straight into the news this morning. We're all good. You're all good. This is all good. Should we just start talking about PES? I think we should. Lake says,
we should, yeah, why not? This could be a long one, I think.
That's what she said. Or was this calculated with info already there, but not telling us? Kappa. Me? No, it wasn't. It wasn't actually. We do know more than we let on a lot of the time. But that conversation wasn't as a result of us knowing more. That conversation was as a result of us not having the time to cover it last week and then not having the time to cover it on Monday. So we had the conversation yesterday. And we can't cover it on a Monday or a Wednesday or a Friday usually. Like when I say it, we couldn't have covered that because we knew how long that would have been. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, we have Masters of the League, which is a bit more of a chunkier broadcast. So the stars just aligned. So we had our chat yesterday and it all happened today. But yes, we absolutely did it on purpose. If anybody thinks that, then let them think that. It's fine. Anyway, let's jump into the news. For those of you that haven't seen it, there has been a new bit of PES news. We were talking yesterday about the future of PES, about PES 2020, how that would lead into PES 2021. We were talking about PES 2021 and where that stands in relation to PES 2022. All that was based off the back of a leak. That leak came from Microsoft, which is kind of a regular thing now. So it was leaked on the Xbox/Microsoft website with product information of PES. Obviously, nothing official. So we had an off-the-record, unofficial, opinionated chat, not based in fact. We threw out our opinions. You threw out your opinions, and we had a really good chat. And Yes, 24 hours later, we're back live again and news has been revealed. So let's just jump into that. If you do want to check out that chat, by the way, yesterday's broadcast, which you can see live on Twitch or on all of the podcast services, YouTube for the video, iTunes, Spotify, SoundCloud, and Google Play. Yesterday's episode of The Scoop. If you don't want the general games industry news, fast forward about an hour into it, because we go for about 45 minutes to an hour talking about PES. A lot of differing opinions, people not on the same hymn sheet, which was really, really good because that made it a really good open discussion. So feel free to go back and listen to that if you want. If not, if you don't have the time for that, that's fine. We'll cover everything as much as we can today. So let's jump in to the first bit of news. And this has just gone live on the official PES website this morning, around 38 minutes ago. So not even an hour old, fresh off the press. The title says 25 years of eFootballPES. 2020 marks 25 years since the eFootballPES franchise made its debut in 1995 as J-League GQ Winning 11 on the original PlayStation console. We here at the eFootballPES team would like to take this opportunity to extend our sincerest gratitude to all the loyal fans who have supported us over the last 25 years. This incredible milestone could not have been achieved without each and every one of you. To mark the occasion, a special 25th anniversary campaign will kick off today and continue throughout the year. A lot of exciting things are planned and we can't wait to share them with you. Once again, we thank you from the bottom of our hearts for your continued patronage of this amazing series, the eFootballPES production staff. And I'm going to hit refresh on that because the top of the page opens with a nice little animation. Is it? There we go. Do you know what that reminds me of? That reminds me of PES 6. That reminds me of like the intro sort of sequence to PES 6, that sort of yellow graffiti-ish style. But there we go. Anyway, moving on. So now we take things. So that was kind of like a precursor of where we are. That shapes up the announcement. This is the actual announcement. Taking PES to a whole new level. As the industry stands at the precipice of an exciting new generation of consoles, we believe that now is the perfect time to share some of our plans for the future of the PES franchise with you. To that end, we are excited to announce that we are hard at work on a next generation football title that aims to truly embody our concept of the pitch is ours. This title is being developed with an updated engine that will enable us to dazzle you with staggering improvements to all areas of the game. Expect more realistic player models and animations, enhanced physics, photorealistic visuals, and much, much more. We recognize that many of you are enthusiastic for new My Club and Master League content, and we are also excited to share that large updates are in the works for both of these modes. However, the sheer scale of everything we are aiming to achieve for our next-gen debut has made it necessary to pare back our efforts in other areas of development. As a result, we have made the decision to launch this year's PES as a streamlined offering in the form of a season update. That being said, we are still extremely confident that this year's game offers fans more than enough thrills to tide them over until our next-gen title is ready for launch. This year also marks a quarter of a century since the first PES title was released. To commemorate this important milestone, and more importantly, to show our gratitude to you, our loyal fans, we are pleased to announce that this year's PES will launch at an affordable anniversary price and will also come with several bonuses. Currently, we aim to begin testing of our next-gen title sometime in mid-2021 with an estimated release date later in the same year. Until that time, we hope to see you back on the pitch in this year's season update. Look forward to more news regarding our next-gen project closer to the release, and that is signed by the PES development team. And then below that, we have a little video. So let's just hit play on that. Watch through that. It's only a minute long. So we'll just watch this through on stream. There you go. That's the key thing for me. So let's pause there. Pause. Boom. Get out of here. Suggested videos. 5 seconds in. Not even that. Like 4 seconds in, we get the teaser that we were all kind of like assuming yesterday. We spoke about off the cuff. The next PES, or the next major PES, is going to be on the Unreal Engine. So let's hit play in the video. This, once again, is just a teaser. Don't expect ground breaking reveals in here. Don't expect content that you've never seen before. Don't expect all the intricacies of who's and the what's. Actually, what quality is that video on? 480p. Do I look like? Let's go 1080 just because that's all it'll come out through Twitch anyway.
I was watching it on WAP.
It's very spongy grass, that. But it looks like it's just been cut. I wonder who that could be. Oh, there we go. I actually do like that Barca shirt this season as well. I used to love a Barca shirt. Once they started to get sponsors on it, I kind of fell out of love with them a bit. And I'm not a fan of the thin lined shirts, but thick lines like that, yeah, I quite like this shirt. But there we go. As you can see, Unreal is a trademark of Epic Games and so on at the end of the broadcast. So PES will be made in the Unreal Engine. Fox Engine looks like it is no more. And back to the screen, the future of PES/Unreal Engine. So everyone in the chat, please feel free to get involved. Give us your thoughts, your impressions. As Bib, what are your thoughts and impressions?
Well, I mean, mine's not changed from yesterday. My opinion is, as stated in the article, that they think that this game is going to be an anniversary price or a special price that's affordable for everyone. So that still hints to me that it's going to be in the realm of £20 to £25. Hopefully, well, they've stated that it's not going to be top whack, so we can already get rid of the £45, £55 limited editions. If they are going to do any limited editions for this year, it probably might boost that price up a little bit. So my opinion hasn't changed in that. I still think in 2 years' time, we will be looking back and seeing whether or not this has been a huge success. Having the same game with the same game but tweaked with the updated season kits, agents, or whatever it could be. I mean, it's a hard sell this year for Master League, if I'm being brutally honest, because if we're not going to get that much different cutscenes and the way that the game looks with the menus, I think that's going to be a little bit of a harder sell than it is for my club. But all in all, I mean, if you play it on PC, what we're playing now doesn't feel like PES 2020. It feels like PES 2020.5 because of all the mods and stuff that we've got on there. And that we've taken that into our own hands, so we can take that away from Konami. But all in all, with what we've seen today, me as a fan, as 10-year-old Bibby playing PES, the original Pro Evolution Soccer on the PlayStation 2. Obviously, I played 98, ISS 98 and things like that on the PlayStation 1, but playing the Pro Evolution Soccer 1 on the PlayStation 2, that kid, his mind would have been blown by what I've just seen. Messi looking like they're walking out. I can't wait. I can't wait. Again, massive. Still have and forever will be a massive fan of the franchise, regardless of whether or not I'm doing the esports side of things. My love for the franchise will always be there. So seeing the momentum that started to get, now we've got a brand new engine, Unreal Engine. We've talked about Unreal Engine for a number of games recently. Obviously, we've seen the tech demo of Unreal Engine 5 for Lumens of the Nanite. I always get that wrong.
Lumen in the land of Nanite.
That's the one. So we've seen that, and we've seen how good graphically that game can look. Let's just hope that they don't have the growing pains with the brand new engine with a football game, because we don't want the same thing happening again. If you was here for yesterday's show, everything that I mentioned yesterday still stands, because it was all to do with how well we want the engine to go. I'd rather them take the year and get used to that engine before the new game comes out. I don't want to miss a game on the new gen like we did with PES 2014. That game didn't come out on the new gen straight away. We had to wait a year, one whole year, to play PES on the PlayStation 4. I'm glad that they're taking the year. Everything that I said still stands, regardless of the price.
See, I love this news. I love this news. Everyone's entitled to their own opinions and everything, but a lot of the PES industry, the PES community industry is wrong phrase. PES community has been clamoring for a big change, and not even in the last couple of years, in terms of even pre the last engine, or maybe that's probably just too far. Maybe it said just after the engine, the Fox engine came in 2014. Just after that, there was a lot of noise around. Take some time away, because the 9 months ish that you get to create a brand new game, and then having like a little bit of time to iterate on it after release, doesn't give you the time to push the envelope to really take things forward. So people have been clamoring, and I mean, for this engine and then pre this engine, people were saying the same on the last generation as well. Take the time, do something drastic, do something that's going to change the game, literally, and that is absolutely what is going to happen here. I mean, and I can say this openly. I mean, we all agree, and it's been mentioned by. I mean, I think even Adabati himself has mentioned this a few times. That PES 2008, and well, the whole PS3 generation didn't go very well. The switch to a new generation and a new engine didn't quite work in the favor of the dev team. They didn't really work with it. PES 2014, and to not the same extent, but to some extent, PES 2015 was the first game to use the new engine, the Fox engine. That didn't go very well. It took a long time to kind of fully understand how to get the most out of that. So we switch from PES 6 to PES 2008, and there's a big drop in quality. We switched from PES 2013 to PES 2014, and there's a big drop in quality. I don't want to switch from PES 2020 to 21 and have a big drop in quality. So taking a year away and giving people access to up-to-date player rosters, squads, leagues, and so on for a lesser price to maintain your love affair with football games as you go on, but then taking an extra year out to make sure that the new engine is fully bedded in is just absolutely the smart move for me. Even now, 7 years later, we see how many times you've probably seen it a couple of times this year. That picture of Raphael at United in PES 2014, where he had a stock default face, and everyone's like, "Is this what Raphael looks like?" Or who was the other one? Was it Kyle Walker? Did he have one as well? Like a dodgy default face build.
Yeah.
And that was because the next engine, the next generation, a bit of both. It was more the next engine, but it was rushed through. So taking a year out to fully bed that in is 100% a smart move for me.
Yeah, the way that I see it is, what would people have preferred if they'd have, because they've already mentioned that they don't have. They mentioned in the article themselves they don't have the capabilities of having a massive team to be able to go and create two separate games. They couldn't do a fully fledged PES 2021 and then a brand new game on the PS5 on the Xbox Series X1. Oh fuck, still can't remember the name. Or the new gen console, shall we say? They've already mentioned that. Now, what would us and our community want? What would they like? Would they have rather had a brand new game for PES 2021 where they've tweaked and got rid of bugs and things like that, to have a brand new game this year and then potentially not have one come out on the PlayStation 5, or do what they're doing now? And for me, I think it's night and day. The difference between them both. PES 2022 on the PlayStation 5 next year has to be the priority. It has to be. Right out the gate with a brand new gen console, it has to bang. FIFA will be doing exactly the same. It would not surprise me if they was to bring out a legacy edition this year as well. People might say that it's a sorry state for video games, but you can only look after your team. People have been crying about crunch and whatever else it may be happening in video games development at this moment in time. You need to look at one, you need to look after your staff, and two, you need to be able to get this game to be as good as you want it to be when the new consoles come out. And for me, again, it's night and day. I'd much rather this year take the year. Just take the year. It's been a long time since a video game developer has been afforded this kind of excuse. Is that the word that we're looking for? Because 2K have just done it. They're doing it with WWE. They're bringing out Battlegrounds in between. They're not bringing out a mainline story game this year, purposely because of what they've experienced the last couple of years over there, like all the bugs and glitches. Characters come out looking like a smashed lasagna and stuff like that, with all the blurring and heads coming off and just seeing their eyes and things like that. They've got a lot to deal with. So for me, taking the year this year, there's still going to be agents in there for you to be able to play with, because there may still be teams that we don't know that are yet to be announced, because we've lost a few this year, don't forget. So if they get new agents coming through, we might get new legends. My club probably will be the same, just with different agents and new content each week. Very similar to what we've got now. It just won't be the revitalized menus or whatever else might be there. For me, taking the year has to happen.
See, the good thing there though is you referenced 2K, WWE 2K, and I think excuse is probably not the right word for PES, but kind of is for that. Not maybe not excuse, but yeah, maybe a poor WWE 2K has been the excuse for taking a year off. That's probably one way you can look at it. Whereas PES, it's almost the flip side. This is to avoid having to have an excuse. They've set time up front and said, okay, we're going to take a year and do this properly. Rather than give you something subpar, we're going to give you something that's not full release, a season update, a lower anniversary price, which everyone assumes. I've seen loads of people tweeting this morning as well. 25-year anniversary price, £25, surely. So if that is Robbie, Mr. Ron, I've not seen you in a Twitch chat with us for a long time. How
Good morning,
you doing,
Robbie.
you beautiful, beautiful man? Robbie, guess what? You are my fire.
DMCA.
How's things, Robbie? How's things? We're talking
Good morning.
about news that you may be aware of. Robbie Ron from the PES team. Look at this, ladies and gentlemen. We have members of the PES team actually in the chat. So that's when you know you're doing things right. He's absolutely a legend, by the way. It's a good guy. It's a good guy. But yeah, I was talking about
What a nice casual meet.
talking about WWE 2K. 2K. Was it 2020 or was it 19? I can't remember now. It's 2020. Wasn't it? WWE 2K20.
Yeah.
Wasn't, like I said, wasn't up to scratch. So rather than doing that with PES 2021 on the next engine, take a year out, release the season update to give you the time to free up resources to fully release a game that's on par. I'm absolutely on board with that. That's amazing. That's that. People won't like it. People won't like it regardless. I mean, if you release a half-ass game, people are going to piss and moan. If you release a game a year later, people are going to piss and moan. So you might as well suffer people pissing and moaning. But taking the extra year to deliver the product that you want to deliver rather than being forced into delivering something that you know is below par, that is just going to get you a backlash anyway. You might as well suffer that backlash to deliver a better product. And that, I'm happy enough with that. Let's jump back to the chat. Lake earlier on says, I'm happy I can rest easy with the info that the next gen PES will be next gen, actually. I mean, Unreal Engine 5 as well, ladies and gentlemen. Actually, while I'm reading the comments, I did open up. You've probably seen it because we've had it on stream a few times already. But Unreal Engine, we have to assume in 2021, 2022, PES will be running on Unreal Engine 5. I mean, it might not be because it's only coming out in 2021. But we have to assume, if not that one, the one after, or they'll be planning to build towards that. And if you haven't seen what Unreal Engine 5 looks like, I'm going to open up a YouTube video for you now. This, we've played a few times already. I'll keep it muted as I jump back through the comments. But this is an example of what Unreal Engine 5 can achieve. Obviously, this is a demo by Epic themselves, so this is going to be an absolute AAA level quality production. But this is what Unreal Engine's lighting, broadcast, surface texture and so on can achieve, and this is what's going to be powering PES. So just let that sink in for a little bit. I know that's kind of hyperbole, but just let it sink in. Anyway, so back to the comments. Madge says, I'm relieved that Unreal is finally confirmed and not a cruel joke. It's real. Fatma Dave says, when it was just showing the boots, it looked like it was copying the Sonic movie ad. Gotta go fast. Gatekeeper TV says, just the default face has been at the new level is something PES needs. The current ones are really bad. I mean, look at that. I mean, the face that we've just seen on the engine. Obviously that's a very high spec face, but some of the best faces on PES now are pretty realistic. That on next gen technology means that the baseline has to move up, surely. WWE 2K definitely needed timeout. The load time improvements from next gen will make CAW enjoyable. Again, I can't wait. What's CAW? Create a wrestler. There we go. Okay, got you. Figured it out. Chiefs, good morning, chappers. I'm so hyped for PES 2022 now, thanks to that one teaser and the Unreal Engine reveal. Do you know what? The best thing about that trailer for me is it kind of silences a lot of the people that were unfairly negative. If you're not happy with the season update, fine. That you're completely open to that opinion. If you don't like it, stick with PES 2020. Don't buy PES 2021. It's completely your prerogative. I understand that. People criticizing PES 2022 or beyond, or the reasonings for it without even really seeing it, and now at the first hint of actually this is what's happening, people start to backpedal. I'm liking to see that. I like that. So I like the fact that we see that things are happening for a reason. It's not just lazy half-assed. It's building for the future. Good morning, Mr. Pastille says, engine aside, I'd like PES 2022 onward to take on a Destiny-style pricing update, more as a live service game. Am I alone? Would it work financially? I mean, that's kind of a question that has kind of rolled around for a while. Could football games change their model? I mean, PES has arguably done that more than anything else. For those of you just tuning in, by the way, this isn't PES on screen. This is just the Unreal Engine. Because I know PES is changing, but not that much.
Andy Carroll there going through going around the back of the wall.
I mean, when I said build a wall, we didn't mean this. God, size of it.
But what Mr. Pastille has just said, that's kind of what we've got this year, and I don't from looking at it on Twitter, I don't think it'll be the right idea. But I am agreeing with you as a start. If football games were a live service game, that would be great because you would only be paying. If you're looking at the World of Warcraft model or the Elder Scrolls model, you're paying about £20 to upgrade every single time a new patch comes out. So you're getting more content and things like that. I don't think it'd work with football games purely because it would just be cosmetic. I agree, though. I would like to see a live service football game because you wouldn't have to. Well, for a start, my PlayStation wouldn't need updating every single time a new game came out, so that'd be nice. But as a live service game, I don't know if it'd work from a community standpoint because they see the bugs and things like that that are going to potentially roll on into next year. But I don't think people realize that they still will be maintaining this game. They're not just going to sell you the game and then just abandon it altogether and then start creating the brand new game. They will still have team on this game working throughout the year to update it, whether or not that be through data packs or hot fixes and things like that. They're not just going to sell you the game and then abandon it altogether. That will never happen. So yeah, a live service game in terms of what a live service is, I agree that could potentially work. But with the kind of response that we're getting for this year from people who think that they're just paying for a Michael reset, I don't think it would work in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah. I've seen varying angles on this conversation over the last, I don't know, 8 years ish, maybe, of like, should you get the game and then you buy the expansion? The expansion is your new season DLC, so you complete roster change, complete change of the kits, add new stadiums and new boots and so on. There's obviously then follow-on conversations. If you buy the expansion, are you allowed to lose that information? So say if you buy PES 2017 or 18 and you get Anfield in it, and 19 was it 17, 18, 19, but then you buy PES 2020 and there's no Anfield but there's Old Trafford. Should you lose Anfield out of that then? Does football work in that sort of way where you get expansions? Is that the same sort of way? Is it a timed sort of content? You only get it for as long as the license exists. Will that work in that sort of way? You're buying an expansion, but it's not really an expansion because it's replacing what's gone there. And then I've seen conversations of, I mean, imagine if football was a fully live service thing where you only pay for what you want. Oh, I'll buy the base game, and then I can pay for the Spanish league, and I can pay for the Euro add-on, and so on. Fully modularize it. I mean, I don't think either of those kind of work in the same sort of way. I think it would be a full, as it is now, as a full roster update, and you do have to lose stuff because licenses can't exist. Even though you paid for it, you're paying for the use of a license for a set amount of time. So Anfield is an example. Old Trafford right now, for example, if that license ends and doesn't get refreshed, like the San Siro, for example, those bits of content have to go out of your game. You aren't able to keep those in without any mods. So I definitely think there is a future for football games to have that live service angle. I mean, I love live service content. I play Battle Royale games, which is pretty much the trend setter for live service at the moment in terms of the amount of content and updates that you're getting in a Warzone or in Fortnite or in PUBG. It's more faster and frequent and more honed in than the likes of Destinies and Co. At this point in time. Not that Destinies doesn't work for that game at all. I mean, it probably is as good as it could be right now. I think football games could learn from that, but it would require some drastic changes. And the other thing is football is based on a real life thing as well, a real life cycle and calendars, and people will opt in to engage in football content based around their real world footballing elements as well. So I want the game. I'm going to buy it because the new season starts when I buy a new shirt when the new season starts. I'm going to buy my season ticket when the season starts. And people, there's already those sort of like built-in behaviours when it comes to world football. So if people go, okay, well, I'm
I think
8 weeks into the season, why am I paying for new content? Because I've already got my season ticket and my shirt. Real world football is not costing me money now. Why is this costing me money now? So there's that sort of difficulty to get past. But anyway, what you can say?
I think more people will probably be miffed at if it was a live service game. Imagine spinning all the agents, having the likes of Petit, Bergkamp, Del Piero, Adriano, and all of those. Then when the season finishes, just them just disappearing from your team because the contract hasn't been renewed with those legends. I think that would piss people off more, if I'm being honest, than a brand new game coming out. That's why I don't think live service may be the way forward. Like you say, licenses expire. It's the same reason why we haven't had any of the old games being remastered. You can't get a remastered PES 6. You can get updates. You can go into the likes of Evo Web and PES Patch and things like that to be able to have brand new, have the likes of David Silva and Sergio Aguero on a Manchester City team and play at the Etihad on PES 6, which wasn't available. You can have those, but there's a reason you won't see a PES 6 be remastered because of the licenses for the time of those players, stadiums, teams. But don't forget, teams get relegated and promoted on a yearly basis. And if they drop out of the likes of the championship, you ain't going to see them again in PES until they actually get back up again.
Players
So
retire, they
yeah,
suddenly not covered by FIFA Pro.
players die as well, either because of their age or anything in between. So that you can't get the licenses for absolutely everyone. So it's a good idea to have live service, but I think it'll come with more complications down the line.
There is a good case study for live service in football games in PES, which is PES Mobile, which is doing exceptionally well. In terms of its, I mean, I don't know what FIFA Mobile's like. I'm probably not qualifying that comment doing exceptionally well. It's doing very well for itself. I don't know how that sits alongside others, but PES Mobile is huge in terms of the amount of player base, the amount of content. It has almost a full representation of what you would get on console My Club, but on a mobile level, and does have continued service. And that does tackle the licensing issue very well in terms of, because it's mobile, it's lighter, so it doesn't have all of the different stadiums, so you don't kind of have that to worry about. But when it comes down to the players themselves, I can't remember who it was. I had a black ball striker who was amazing and retired. I can't remember who it was like the first year, and then the next year it was like, okay, this player has left the game. It's not covered by it anymore. As mentioned in all of the terms and conditions, it was never hidden that players are only available whilst they're available. When they're not available, you can't have them. You'll have them taken out your team, but you will be compensated with a player that's maxed out of the same rarity. I don't know if it works exactly the same anymore. I think it was tweaked after that, but it wasn't even a black ball. It was a silver ball player. That's what's confusing me. I got some silver ball player who was okay, and he was in my team. He retired, and I got silver ball spin to replace him. However, the silver ball player was at max level because it took into the consideration the fact that I had a player in my team. I'd had him there for a while. The chances are he wouldn't be at the base level reset, so he would be high up. So whichever silver player I spun, I got high level. And I ended up with a left back silver ball that was like 86 overall. So even though it was only a silver ball, it went straight into my team. Like, I'll take that. So that sort of stuff. I mean, that is looking at continued service. I wouldn't be surprised if, and this is obviously hasn't been mentioned anywhere in any of the PES stuff, but this is me talking figuratively about the industry. Wouldn't be surprised if we did take steps towards that going forward, particularly with obviously the stuff that was in the news last week regarding chance mechanics, loot boxes, and that whole element being potentially gambling. I mean, will make the industry think anyway. So I wouldn't be surprised if we did see more continued service, more paying to opt in, more of the Fortnite element and the season pass and the battle pass, or the direct purchases of players, of skins, of clubs, of kits, of stadiums, or whatever. Wouldn't be surprised if we got to see that sort of stuff and continued service stuff. Jumping back through the chat, Rai says, I'm not going to lie, I'm more hyped for the WWE game that's being released this year more than I am for when they bring out the next actual game. I mean, Battlegrounds. I mean,
Yeah.
as Chapper says,
Battlegrounds, baby.
It does look pretty good. And I think that's kind of logical because we all have a sour taste in our mouth when it comes to WWE 2K right now. It's easier to be more excited for Battlegrounds as just a palate cleanser, as they call it, to get rid of that bad taste than WWE 2K 2022, because I mean that's far away. We've already we've just been burned, so it's easy to not be excited about that. So I understand that. I understand that. Rise says, actually, correction, baby, that can happen. To some extent, Modern Warfare multiplayer was completely abandoned, and I'd argue EA gave up with FIFA this year by the time Team of the Year came round. I can't remember what that was in relation to.
What that was in relation to. Yeah, Jinx!
Echo. We'll move forward. Rise says, I've seen that trailer when I joined the stream, funny enough, and it looks like a class game that will be hilarious to play with mates. Are we talking about Battlegrounds game? Yeah. It looks good. It looks really good. It does look good. It doesn't look like anything you could take seriously, and I think that's what builds the excitement. I think the issue with video games is we have them for fun and enjoyment and escapism, but we enjoy them to the point of where we take them more seriously than they need to be taken at times. I mean, sometimes you want to take video games very seriously. I'm sat in a room that's got video game stuff all around it. I mean, take it seriously, absolutely. But sometimes we take it too seriously, and you can't do that with Battlegrounds. WWE 2K Battlegrounds, you can't take that seriously, which is good because, I mean, you're The Rock and you can lob Stone Cold Steve Austin into an alligator. You can't take that seriously.
Serious as shit, what that, mate?
Luke says, thinking outside of licenses, would it work with features as add-ons, scenario modes, story modes, Alex Hunter-ish? Not sure there's enough other ways to kick a ball into a goal. Do you know that these scenario modes, like the Alex Hunter stuff, that is a good angle that I've never thought of, to be fair. I'm not sure about, scenario modes and things like that. Maybe mode add-ons could work like that. But if you were playing The Journey and you have Alex Hunter, that only has a finite amount of content because you can't just keep rehashing it in the same way. We mentioned yesterday when we were talking about PES about career modes and going back to old WWE games where you used to start off with a wrestler and there was a narrative that built through, but it was kind of random. So you could be Shawn Michaels and Stone Cold could be the champion, but someone else could be the Intercontinental champion, and you might just get a backroom scene that starts like a pre-planned scenario of you and 8 matches building up to you getting the Intercontinental title match at WrestleMania. And then something else will start and it becomes a bit repetitive, but it's kind of dynamic whilst also forming a narrative. The Journey, though, the Alex Hunter stuff, isn't that. That's purely scripted as you are this. This is going to happen at this bit and this is going to happen at this bit. And if you choose A or B, this will happen. And then this will also come back later on to remind you that this guy was a dick earlier on and so on. Being able to download specific like PES stories. Fully copyrighted by PES Story Mode, by the way. PES Story Mode's like, whoa! Check out PES Story Mode on YouTube. Do it. You'll enjoy it. So having PES stories as downloadable bits of additional content, I do like that idea. That would be cool. I'm not sure that that's even on anyone's radar. FIFA are obviously having the Journey, but imagine them having download the new Journey story for $4.99 and you get 12 hours of gameplay or whatever it is, where you can play as Alex Hunter or Jim Smith or whoever to play through the next sort of career mode. I do like that.
So you're telling me that there isn't any more ways that we can kick a ball into a net? You're forgetting two of the staples of anybody's growing up, their childhood playing football in the streets. You're forgetting about Knockout Wem or Wembley if you're from a certain parts of the country where you score a goal.
It means cuppies.
A cup is, if you want to call it that, where you score a goal and you go through to the next round. How can we not have that implemented in the game? And also Goomer, which is heads and volleys. Again, if you're from other parts of the country, So it's headers and volleys. So you have to score like 9 volleys, and then they'll 10 for be a header. Then someone would get the ball blasted at their ass. Do you know what I mean? These could quite easily be implemented into any of the footballing games. You can take them, you can have them for free if you want. Also, 5-a-side football. Let's get some Masters football back in there as well.
I'd love that. I remember when PES 2013, 14, whatever it was, I think it's 13, when it went big with the UCL license, or was that 2012? I don't know, 11, somewhere around that time. And I remember having a conversation in Neon, Switzerland. It was actually with Adam Batty, chatting about the licenses that PES had the potential to use. And this is no secret, by the way, but PES obviously had the Champions League, the Europa League, the UEFA Youth League, and the Youth League was used for some PES League content. But one of the ones that was there but was never able to be utilised was the futsal stuff. And I was like, just imagine that. 5-a-side UEFA futsal leagues, like having that as a content, like indoor 5-a-side mode. Yes, please. Yes, please. Give me that. Give you that.
That'd have
Anyway,
been quality.
jumping back up just before it goes off the screen. Degnan says the PES announcement has left a sour taste in my mouth, and I don't buy it. The PES 2019 was revealed, I'm told it was one of a 3-year cycle that's been abandoned. The talk of special anniversary price annoys me. I mean, I understand the 3-year cycle comment.
Was that PES 2019? I thought that was 2018.
I can't remember. I'm just going to take it at face value as him saying 2019. So that's right. But I can't remember. But if PES 2019 was year 1, 2020 was year 2, 2021 year 3, I get that. However, I would feel it's better to alter your course rather than just continuing a course to a destination that's not relevant anymore. So I would be happy enough for Master League to be squashed. And PES 2020 to remain the same, for Master League to be better on the next gen next year. So jumping on to that Master League point, the article itself, which I'll put back on screen for those that haven't read it, we recognise that many of you are enthusiastic for new My Club and Master League content, and we are also excited to share that large updates are in the works for both of these mods. So I get the fact that we're in the middle of a cycle. That doesn't necessarily mean that's stopped. It just means that's been put on hiatus with everything else as well. So we are getting the game as it is, but we're just getting a season update. This isn't the next game, so to speak. So I understand the 3-year cycle thing, but yeah, I'd take that with a pinch. We are getting those updates. It mentions it within that, but with everything else, we're just having to wait so we can get it on the full Unreal Engine HD splendiferous magickery. So yeah, I wouldn't say it's been shelved. I'd just say that a bigger priority has come along. And I'd be more annoyed if we got fixes to Master League, which then meant that we had to wait another year to get the benefits of a much more powerful engine. So yeah, that's the way I see it. That's the way I say it. I mean, obviously, you're welcome to disagree if that's the case. As long as we get those additions and better Michael content with the new update, then it's all the same for me. Castolo Junior story mode. Now that's the money. Hey!
Oh my god, yeah! I've just seen Shales' comment on Twitter saying, "I can't wait to see the detail in Castolo's cornrows in PES 2022."
Just imagine. There's no sweat.
Well, ask him.
It's not a next gen sports teaser without sweat. Fake news. Mr. T. I'll read.
Congratulations.
Yeah, Mr. 2K. I'm very much disappointed though, because Asim, we could call him Konasim, Asim, for like EA and all the rest. I mean, how do you do that with 2K? There's no 2 or K in Asim Tanvir. You've let us down there, Asim. How do we link you to a brand in some sort of basic Route 1 marketing without those letters? God's sake. Unless we have to go back to Take 2 and we get like Tan 2 or something like that, but we're not going to do that because that's just lame. Anyway, Chapper says, true, actually, PES 2019 was meant to be year 1 of 3 for Master League, especially, and PES 2020 didn't get improvements, and now PES 2021, which is year 3 out of 3, is PES 2020. Yeah, no, we covered that bit anyway. Jumpers for goalposts. I mean, yeah, fucking yeah. Let's get jumpers for goalposts made. Let's get Cuppy or Wemb with crucifixion, as we used to call it when you can't move in the goal. Let's have a bit of that. Yeah. Let's do you know what? Sorry, let's just go for crossbar challenge as well. Let's get that added in. Let's go full on soccer AM.
Oh yeah.
OMG Cuppies, never had a better feeling going through after choosing a shit nation. Wembley and Wembley doubles were absolutely incredible. Basically went to our nearest park every Monday after school for 4 hours and played Wembley. That was pretty much every lunchtime for us at school. Every time it was dinner time, we'd just jump out to the top field, and it was you'd get like a quick round at break time. We'd go out and it was like basically the first 2 teams were in the final. First 2 teams that scored were in the final because you only had 15 minutes. And then at dinner time, it was kind of like, okay, we could take it seriously now. You'd get full on tactics. You'd get the people that are absolute show ponies, nutmegging and everyone out on the pitch, and then you'd get like the absolute sweat lords like me stood there goal hanger, waiting to just touch the ball as it comes into the goal. Yeah, I scored. That's me through. Sit down, boys.
Goal hanging was rife.
Yeah, goddamn right. I'm still hyped for more PES content regardless. Ask him to Cian Via. Do you know what? Maybe we can turn the 2 into an S and we can call it like A2KM. Like, I'm gonna write in the chat. I mean, you all understand, but A2KM can Via. That's it. That's his name. Atukam Tanvir. What the fuck? Anyway, so PES, for those of you that missed it, is coming to the next gen. It has been confirmed that the information that we were discussing yesterday is all pretty much confirmed, even though it doesn't say yeah, the leak is true. It mentions the anniversary price, it mentions the season update, but it also takes that a step further to say that the next generation football title will aim at the concept of the pitch is ours, which is obviously a concept that's been in PES for a number of years. I mean, I've said this to numerous people. I like the pitch is ours more than I like Where Legends Are Made and things like that. Because Where Legends Are Made talks about off-pitch stuff to me. Where Legends Are Made is what you say when you've got 100 new legends from Barcelona or whoever in the game, which is all nice, but that's not the football. The pitch is ours. Focusing on that mantra is the one for me. So that plus My Club plus Master League plus Unreal Engine just means that we'll have to wait another year for it. That justifies the need for a season update for me. I mean, you can have your own opinions. If you don't feel the season update is enough, you feel it's just a My Club reset, then you're welcome to those opinions. But for me, all of that stuff bundled together gives me justification for taking a year away. We've all clamoured for it for forever. Take a year out, get us a proper game. Take a year out, get us a proper game. If all of that, and we've got no reason to assume it isn't at this point in the time, if all of that happens, My Club additions, My Club Master League improvements, focus on gameplay, on a new engine, on the next generation, with better player models. It says more realistic player models, animation, enhanced physics, photorealistic visuals, and more, plus the My Club and all that. Or if I get all of that stuff and I have to wait a year for it, then that's fine. Masters of the League will just continue for PES 2020 for another year, because that's easier than us having to like scrap it all and restart again anyway. So that's good. Yes. NBA 2K My Tanvia. There you go. I mean, if you were in the chat and you want to figure out a way to get the number 2 and the letter K into the name Asim Tanvir, then feel free to get involved. As a way of congratulating him in his new job. Once again, congratulations, Asim. Anyway, so we pause PES there, seeing that we've had almost the entire show, or the allotment of time for the show to talk about PES. Let's move ahead. Nice discussion. And it's amazing what a difference a day makes. We've had a lot of differing opinions yesterday. We had a lot of heated conversation. I mean, Degnan mentioned that he's not happy with the delays to Master League, which completely fair. I mean, you've been promised something that's changed. I understand that. But other than that, yesterday was very, very differing. People had very different opinions on what to expect without having that information. Having that context changes the conversation a lot for a lot of people. So I like to see that we're all a bit more aligned with it. Fair enough. Take your own personal stance or your own personal takes on that information. Us being all more aligned is good. It's good. Lake says I need to take after work nap. See you next time.
Yeah.
Enjoy the nap.
Enjoy the nap, mate.
Thank you for joining us. Anyway, we're going to move ahead now. So if you want to tune in for the PES news, it's good. So let's jump into our next story. This is absolutely not been put in by me, but it's the next one that I have on the list, and it's one that really, really relates to me. So let's jump into it. PUBG has officially sold over 70 million copies. We'll fly through this because there's not that much to discuss on this one, but written by Cian, Maher for VG247, the article says it was recently revealed that PUBG has now sold over 70 million copies worldwide, less than 3 years after it originally launched. That is a monumental number, by the way, just saying. The news comes from GamesIndustry.biz, widely lauded as the original Battle Royale prior to the global expansion in that specific genre. PlayerUnknown's Battleground has, according to PUBG Corp, shipped over 70 million units since its official launch in December 2017. It had been in early access for 9 months prior to that, originally being available for beta testers in March of the same year.
We just become best friends. Yep.
Luke, thank you very much for the follow, dude. Much appreciated.
Thank you.
According to the Games Industry Report, this is the first time PUBG Corp has released sales figures since June 2018, at which point the game had sold approximately 50 million copies. While precise platform figures are not known, it's worth mentioning that PUBG came to PS4 6 months after that figure was announced, which likely contributed, at least in part, to the extra 20 million copies sold since. I don't want to say that's an obvious fact, but it's likely that PUBG contributed in part to sales. Nice, great. I mean, sales usually do lead to sales, so yeah, I think you could there. Anyway, in related news, Parachute Follow returned to PUBG alongside the new C4 in a PC patch from last month. Meanwhile, PUBG Sanhok is being remastered and it's getting Warzone-style pre-customized weapons. On that note, Call of Duty Warzone recently got a new 200 blah 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 blah. Okay, that's a big tangent. PUBG has sold over 17 million copies. So every time I'm playing PUBG and someone comes in that we've never seen before in the chat and goes, as if people are still playing PUBG, mate, it's like, mate, it sold 70 million copies. Most games that you will ever play on will never sell 70 million copies. So, yeah. Anyway, quickly rifling through because we have Masters of the League following this. For those of you who don't know, by the way, sticking with the PES news that we started the show with, we do a show every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, straight after the scoop, called Masters of the League, where we play through a fully modded PC Master League on PES 2020. We use green screens so you can get inside the stadiums, you can get on the training pitches and everything, and we help, with the help of you guys, are building a club that can hopefully get into the Champions League. And that will follow this. But anyway, that's the reason we're going to fly through the rest of the stories so we can get done and get us on in time to fully jump into Masters of the League. The next
Just
story...
with that, PUBG is now officially the best-selling battle royale game ever.
Is it really?
Well, it has to be because Fortnite's free.
Oh yeah, there you go. Good shout.
Blackout's free. Sorry, not Blackout was free.
Warzone.
Warzone's free.
Oh, good shout.
It has to be the best seller. It has to be the best-selling battle royale ever. I'm trying to think of all battle royales now, but all of them are pretty much free. Cuisine Royale's free. Hyperspace is free.
Hyperscrap.
Oh, for fuck's sake! Every single time.
Hyperscape.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It has to be.
Yeah, and it's up there as well. I mean, it's miles and miles behind the likes of GTA, but that's like halfway or something like that. Isn't GTA like 150 million or something like that? And if PUBG's at 70 million, then to get halfway for GTA 5, which has spanned 3 generations of consoles, it's pretty big. Anyway, next bit of news. You did see it pop up for just a second, but Stadia announces new exclusives and launches a click-to-play feature, including Orcs Must Die 3 and titles from Harmonix and Super Massive Games. I'm going to hit play on the video, even though I've not seen it. It might not be relevant, might not be anything we can look at whilst I'm moving. So Google has announced a host of fresh Stadia games, including several exclusives, and launched a new click-to-play feature. Only on Stadia games revealed on Tuesday, see the video above, include timed exclusive Orcs Must Die 3 from Robot Entertainment, which is playable now with Stadia Pro or purchasable separately. Splash Damage's Outcasters will also launch this fall exclusively for Stadia, and Google has signed exclusivity deals for untitled games from Harmonix, which made Rock Band, Supermassive Games, which made Until Dawn, and Uppercut Games, which made Submerged. Other titles coming to Stadia include Super Bomberman R Online in the fall of 2020, Sekiro Shadows Die Twice, fall of 2020, PGA Tour 2K 2021, WWE Battlegrounds, and NBA 2K 2021, all in 2020. Do you know what? I'm going to forget what's in the brackets now. Dead by Daylight, Hitman, Hitman 2, Hitman 3, Hello Neighbor Hide and Seek, and Outriders, all spread across 2020 and 2021. Stadia has also launched Click to Play, a new feature which lets Stadia Pro subscribers click links in the YouTube video descriptions to instantly play the games they are viewing. Click to Play is available on any Stadia supported device. Google introduced a significant Stadia price cut in June, 7 months after the platform's November 2019 launch. It's now offering the Stadia Premier Edition, which lets you play games on your TV using Chromecast Ultra, and the Stadia controller for £89.99, down from its original £119. Do you know what? That is actually a pretty decent update, is that? I know Stadia, and rightfully so, because we own it, we have the right to be disappointed in it, has had some serious shit from us. We bought the Founders Edition of Stadia expecting the future. We believed what we were told, and what we were told was a lie. That said, they've not rested on their laurels. Stadia has now moved ahead massively. So we have a bunch of exclusives being announced. Not all of them being fully announced. So Orcs Must Die 3 from Robot Entertainment is the first one. That is then followed by games from Harmonix, Supermassive Games, and Uppercut Games, which all have exclusivity deals. Might not be console or exclusive, it might be a timed exclusive, which is counterintuitive for consumers because if it's timed exclusive, you've got a fixed price and you can't get it. But if they're doing that, the right kind of games, these are the moves that Stadia needs to be making. Add to that Bomberman, Sekiro, Dead by Daylight, WWE 2K Battlegrounds, NBA 2K21, the Hitman games, Hello Neighbor games, and Outriders, which is the big one from Square Enix. So they've got a lot of content coming to them, following the likes of PUBG and Co that have already hit it already. So quietly, they're ticking things off. So who knows, at that pace, in the next 15 years, we may be able to play games on Stadia. See that? I was being positive about Stadia. I lulled you in and then I punched you in the face. Konami should way earlier to avoid all this drama of last days. Do you know? I see where you're coming from, but I don't necessarily agree. I said the same thing yesterday. As a media professional, one of the things you kind of always get introduced with very early on is you shouldn't comment on rumor speculation because quite often it's bullshit and quite often it's true. And even if it is true, you can't comment on it because when you comment on it, you add legitimacy to it. And if it's not true and you comment on it, you add legitimacy to it. So it's difficult. And Konami had a plan. So having a video asset, I mean, obviously that's been filmed. It has the Unreal Engine logo on it, so that needs buying from Epic Games to have it approved. Messi needs to be consulted and have his license, his image licensed. The Barcelona kit features, so Barcelona are involved in it and needs to get licensed. So that's not something that's just been thrown together, even though it's a pretty simple asset. It's not been thrown together. So Konami would have had a plan for that. However, that plan was ruined by Xbox putting that content out. So I understand if they would have put it out earlier, it would have spoiled the drama. But they also had a plan of their own, and it's a bit shit that they've been forced stick to your plan, or rip up the script and get agreement with Unreal and Messi and Barcelona and whatever to get out quickly to avoid it. So it's you're kind of caught between a rock and a hard place. I've been on the receiving end of that for multiple games, multiple brands. And it's not easy to do if things get leaked. I mean, and not just Konami stuff. I've had to deal with leaks across multiple different publishers and developers. If things get leaked, that is more difficult than just being able to put the content out to fix it. So yeah, it would have been nice to have that news sooner, but just because that news hasn't arrived doesn't necessarily mean it was based in laziness, which a lot of people unfairly will say. I mean, EA don't do something, they're lazy. Konami don't do something, they're lazy. I'm not saying that you're saying that now, by the way, Pesball, but just because it hasn't been announced doesn't necessarily mean it came from a place of laziness. There's a lot more difficulties when you're doing something like that than a lot of people are aware of. So, yeah, it would have been nicer to know sooner, but the fact that we haven't, but we still know now, I'm happy enough with that. Anyway, so Stadia. Big announcements. We might jump on the Stadia stuff again tomorrow because that's actually a pretty decent story there. So for those of you who may have missed it, Stadia has new exclusive games and has a new feature which we've hardly even spoken about called Click to Play. If you're watching a YouTube video, let's say you're watching one of your favorite YouTubers, someone that's expertly crafted YouTube to be their bitch, someone that makes world-class content, like maybe playing Resident Evil. Hey. And you want to play that game, I mean, maybe not Resi because I don't think it's on Stadia, but if that game is on Stadia, you can just click the button and load it up, which is a nice feature. It's probably one that we take with a pinch right now, but as it becomes more apparent and available across more different platforms and stuff, I think that sort of, I want to play that, let me jump right in, will become more apparent. And Stadia are kind of pushing the envelope with things like that, but the downside is it's wrapped up in a lot of narrative around it. Let's put it that way. It's not that great generally, but they're making it right. They're making it right. You know what? What do we cover these last two, or should we wrap it up and just move those forward?
I think we should probably just wrap it up. They can wait.
Yeah, they're not time exclusive in terms of Yeah. Let's sit on those. Let's sit on those. Okay, we have 2 more stories. We'll shunt them forward to tomorrow. Do you know what? It's a good week when you have enough content that you have to keep postponing news and putting news back days so that you can keep on top of the news because there's so much of it. Yesterday wasn't a big news day, but we got 2 hours of content out because of all you guys in the chat having that conversation with us, which is nice to have had. It's nice to have had level-headed conversations as well, including the phrase "jump us for goalposts." I mean, that's the first time I've probably seen that in the chat, so thank you very much for that one, Degnan. Much appreciated.
It's been a while since I've seen that,
Chapper says, "Ooh, a lot of 2K Asim games in there." I mean, Asim single-handedly made that happen. I said to him, Asim, do you know what? You need to go out and get a job at a leading brand in the games industry to single-handedly save not only that brand but Stadia. And here we are. So yeah, 2K is now going to have a WWE Battlegrounds game and a game next year. Asim made that happen. Stadia now has a number of games, exclusives, and new technology in the click-to-play feature. 100% Asim made that happen. They're him. I mean, if you look at it, if you look at your Stadia controller, if you've got one, turn it upside down. It says Asim was here on it. It does. Fact. Have a look.
yeah.
It doesn't, but it's fine. Anyway, that's enough of that. Let's wrap things up. We are going to drop off. We are going to jump back on, though, with the next episode of Masters of the League. If you haven't seen that, we are 26 episodes in after with today's, I believe. Is today's the 26th?
26, yep.
Yes, there we go. And we're just in the middle of the January transfer window in our first season in the Premiership. We ripped up the script. We sit at the top of the table, and with clear daylight as well, 6 points ahead of Liverpool in second at the top of the table. That sounds more convincing than it is. We've been absolutely held to the wire. We've come back from behind so many times. It's been a very, very entertaining series and by no means a walk in the park. But we need to strengthen our squad. We've got a little bit of money. We could potentially do that. We've already started doing it in the January transfer window. But we want your help to take it forward. Any player we sign, any decision we make in the club is done with your input. Our backroom staff, we run polls, and every time we sign a player, every time we renew a contract, if we want to move clubs, which we never want to do, but we do all of that with your input. So feel free to join us straight after this, get involved in that show, and help us take our journey in the Masters of the League to the next step. But before we drop off and before we jump back on with that, Mr. Bibb, in your luxurious Twitch hat, is there anything you'd like to add to the stream?
Yes, there is, of course, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for getting involved with our PES discussion today, because obviously that was the main story. That's what the majority of you are here for. You enjoy our PES content. So we very much appreciate you giving your feedback on what you deem to be your experience of what you want to take from the game going forward. So again, if any more news pops up between now and the game coming out in 2 years' time, of course, we're going to be here to cover it for you, and we welcome your thoughts and opinions on that one. But for everything else, again, thank you very much for being here. If you do see any video game news knocking around the social media platform of your choice, then do feel free to get in contact with us. 2 ways you could do that. One, hit us up on social media. It's at Ice Cream Uploads across everything. It's also at We've Got Withinio, which is myself, Graham_Day on Twitter, which is Graham. And then also available in our Discord. All we need to do is get the link to the news article from yourself, also your thoughts and opinions, which we'll then give our thoughts and opinions in the very next show, which will be at what time tomorrow, Mr. Graham? Day
10 a.m.
Ish.
Always the ish. Don't forget the ish. It's important. Anyway, that's it. We're going to drop off. We will be back on with some Master League content from PES 2020 in 15 minutes-ish. Maybe even before 12 noon. We got on with the idea that we can get through. Ish, says Rise, with the idea that we can get through the content ready so we can be set to go. We usually say 12 noon for Masters of the League. Maybe a bit early today. We will see. Feel free to linger in the chat. Talk amongst yourselves. But if you do want to disappear, make sure you've hit follow before you do. That way you get notified when we go live again. So you don't miss anything. And you don't want to miss it because Masters of the League is world class. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. Get it? It's nice. Anyway, have yourselves a fantastic day. And if we don't see you back for Masters of the League imminently, then make sure you guys stay frosty. Yeah.